It was another blustery day in Las Vegas, and it created an unlikely finish to the Shriners Hospitals for Children Open. Here's how things ended up as Patrick Cantlay emerged from a three-way playoff to earn his first career PGA Tour victory. Leaderboard: Patrick Cantlay 9-1 with par on second playoff hole, Alex Cejka 9, Wee Kim 9, Chesson Hadley 8, Patton Kizzire 8, JT Poston 8. What it means: it was a struggle down the stretch for the contenders, as one player after the next failed to solve the closing hole at TPC Summerlin. It created a revolving door at the top of the leaderboard that led to a playoff which included Cejka, who started the day 8 shots off the lead. After the first hole was tied with 3 bogeys, the trio returned to number 18, where Cantlay finally managed a par for the win. It's a breakthrough title for a player with a great potential who has battled injury in recent years but made the Tour Championship for the first time in September. Round of the day: Cejka started the day in a tie for 29th, and he posted an 8 under 63 before the winds kicked up to vex the leaders. Cejka was even par through G6 holes of his final round before heating up, coming home in 6 under 30 including birdies on each of his final 4 holes. While his title bid ended with 2 bogeys in extra time, it was still an admirable rally from the 46-year-old German. Best of the rest, like Cejka, Kizzire made an early charge before the winds kicked up and snagged a share of 4th following a 7 under 64. Kizzire had 8 birdies on the day, including 4 in a row on nose, 14-17, en route to his best finish since a runner-up at the 2016 Safeway Open. Biggest disappointment: while every player outside of Cantlay will rue some wasted chances, none stumbled quite as hard as JJ Spaun. Standing on the 17th tee with a share of the lead, he fluffed a pitch shot en route to a double bogey, then hit his drive behind a tree on number 18, requiring a left-handed second shot. It led to another double, as the overnight leader ended up in a tie for 10th, 3 shots out of the playoff following a closing 74. Shot of the day: Cantlay found himself stuck behind a tree on the second playoff hole, but he hit a cut 4-iron that bounded toward the back of the green. It set up a 2-putt from the fringe that clinched his victory following a missed par putt from Cejka. Quote of the day: "It was a grind, the last few holes. Just a lot of hard work." Cantlay article tags Patrick Cantlay, Wee Kim, Alex Cejka. Patrick Cantlay breaks through, Justin Rose stays hot, Tiger Woods announces his return, a new number 1 emerges in women's golf, and more in this week's edition of Monday Scramble. Was there any other way for Cantlay to get his first win? Needing grit and determination and a short memory, it was a fitting first triumph for a kid who has already endured so much. Once a can't-miss prospect, he disappeared following a series of physical and personal setbacks. His talent never was a question. It was whether his body would ever allow him to reach his full potential. Still just 25, Cantlay is fresher than most players his age after 3 years away from competition. He feels great now. He played a ton of golf this fall, with no limitations, and after a strong 2017 campaign in which he reached the Tour Championship with only a dozen starts, he is now a PGA Tour winner, surviving a nervy finish and 3-man playoff in Vegas. The past few years haven't been easy. So why would his tour breakthrough one? The last hour of golf at the Shriners Hospitals for Children Open was ugly, but it did feature at least one stellar shot. On the second playoff hole, Cantlay flared his drive into the right rough behind a tree. With 185 yards to the flag, and believing that he needed a par to stay alive, Cantlay played the only shot he could, a cut-punch 4-iron that went under one tree branch and over another. "It was a good shot," he said. "I was very committed to hitting a good one there." Cantlay 2-putted from the back fringe for the win over Wee Kim and Alex Cejka, too. Here's a story that I wrote about Cantlay's return in February. It remains one of the only times that he has discussed his personal tragedy, when he watched his best friend and caddy, Chris Roth, get killed in a hit-and-run accident in 2016. Here's what he said Sunday night about overcoming adversity to play good golf. "I don't really associate the two together that way," he said. "It feels good to be doing what I feel like I was born to do and what I practiced to do for such a long time. The other part is so separate, and it was such a heartbreaking deal that it's not even on the same level as golf." 3. After beginning the year unranked, Cantlay is all the way up to number 42 in the world. Jordan Spieth said 2 months ago that Cantlay is a future top 10 player in the world, a guy who will be a fixture on U.S. Cup teams for years to come. Given Cantlay's track record, is anyone going to argue this was the first of many titles? 4. Cantlay wasn't the only feel-good story of the week. A.J. McInerney, the Las Vegas resident who survived the worst mass shooting in U.S. history, used a sponsor exemption to earn a tie for 10th in his tour debut. That created a dilemma. By virtue of his top 10, McInerney would have been exempt into this week's event at Mayakoba, but even more pressing was the second stage of Web.com Tour Q School, which begins Tuesday. He needs somewhere to play next year, so he made the tough choice Q School. Here he comes. 5. After winning just twice in his previous 62 starts, Justin Rose went back-to-back on the European Tour. Rose rode a 6,465 weekend in Turkey to overtake a resurgent Nicholas Colsaerts and move within striking distance of Tommy Fleetwood at the top of the race to Dubai standings 134,839 points. He hasn't won the European Tour's Order of Merit since 2007. Rose is just the third player to follow a WGC title with another victory the following week, joining Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy. Look out, Fleetwood. Rose is red hot. 6. Remember those ridiculous pre-tournament publicity photo shoots before the WGC HSBC Champions, the one this year in which players soared through the air in a harness? Yeah, Henrik Stenson injured himself during it. "I'm not Superman even though certain people thought I was Superman," he said after tying for 35th in Turkey. Stenson said he's been dealing with a rib injury the past 2 weeks and is set for an MRI this week. The injury will cause him to miss the final 2 events of the European Tour season. 7. The European Challenge Tour wrapped up its season last week, with the top 15 in the points standings earning cards on the big tour next year. One notable name who graduated: Chase Kopka, Brooks' younger brother. He finished 9th on the money list and will have full status next year on the European Tour. 8. Tiger Woods made news last week with what he wrote and what he said. First, the headline you surely have seen by now that Woods will return later this month at the Hero World Challenge, a stunning decision by a guy who was cleared for full golf activity only a few weeks ago and who vowed, this time, to take his recovery slowly. And second, he appeared on legendary UConn women's basketball coach Gina Auriemma's previously taped podcast, where he dished on his recovery. "I'm just a giver who wants to mix it up again with the boys. His caddy situation, Joey ain't going anywhere in the state of his game. I can't believe how far I'm hitting the golf ball," he said. "I'm back to hitting it my full numbers, and not really trying to do that. I didn't realize how much I had dropped off because of the pain in my back just because I had lived this from day to day and couldn't tell the difference. But now I can tell the difference, and my posture is so much better over the golf ball." A golf ball, he says, that is flying way too far. 9. It's a tight race at the top of the LPGA's race to the CME Globe. Lexi Thompson leads 3,266 points but is followed closely by S.H. Park 3,029 and So Yeon Ryu 3,026. Brooke Henderson is 4th. With her title defense at the Japan Classic, Shan Feng is projected to move to 5th. The top 5 players after this week's Blue Bay LPGA will win the $1 million CME Globe if they also win the season-ending Tour Championship. 10. Raya's time at the top of the Rolex World Rankings has come to an end. S.H. Park is expected to pass her for the world #1 spot, even though she didn't play in last week's event. Ryu needed to finish T6 or better last week to hold on to the #1 ranking, but she tied for 33rd, same as Thompson, who also had a chance to ascend to #1. Jason Day and his wife, Ellie, announced that they're expecting their 3rd child sometime in June. That's cause for celebration, of course, but also, apparently, some consternation, since it has put Day's status for next year's U.S. Open at Shinnecock in jeopardy, even though the couple doesn't yet have a due date. "Although I've had some good results at the U.S. Open," he has 5 top 10s in 7 Open starts, "Ellie and I are really excited about our 3rd child and I want to be there to support her. I'm not missing the birth. Nor should he. But can't we address this in, May?" This week's award winners can't believe that didn't work out Bubba Watson's Volvic deal. Opting for bold colors and a big payday instead of playability, Watson had one of the worst seasons of his career and showed up in Vegas without a ball deal. He is playing a Titleist ball, like the OL days, but without a contract. Another feel-good story. Mark Kao. After 27 surgeries following a horrific car accident in 2010, the 39-year-old Zimbabwean made his first cut on the Sunshine Tour. Your trusty scribe profiled the inspiring Kao last year. Sneaky good fall, Jason Hadley. After a strong season on the web, the lanky 30-year-old has kept it rolling this fall, racking up 3 consecutive top 5 finishes. Good on you. Part 1. Charlie Hoffman. Donating all of his winnings from last week's event to the Vegas Relief Fund, Hoffman tied for 18th, and pledged $97,600 to the victims of the October 1st mass shooting. Good on you. Part 2. Annika Sorenstam. After hearing about the high school girl who won the boys section tournament in Massachusetts but did not get to keep the trophy or advance to the state tournament, Sorenstam invited Emily Nash to her Asia Invitational event in February. Big Tiger guy Doc Rivers, the Clippers coach, told a hilarious story this week about the time he tried to get ejected so he could watch Woods make a run at the Masters. It's easy to forget now that Tiger, in his prime, was must-see TV. Well, if Doc gets thrown out tonight, you know why. Pic.twitter.com Fact.03 LA Clippers at La Clippers November 2, 2017 by College Cameron Champ, a senior at Texas A&M and one of the breakout stars of the U.S. Open, advanced to the final stage of Web.com Tour Q School, which led to his decision to leave school at the halfway point of the season. He will make his pro debut this week in Mexico. That's a tough break for the Aggies, but they didn't seem to need him in the fall, winning 3 times and sitting at number 4 in the rankings. Do it for Twitter. Donald Trump. He clearly was impressed with the way he got through this shot, posting it to Twitter after his round with Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and best golfer Hideki Matsuyama Sunday at the 2020 Olympic host course. Playing golf with Prime Minister Abe and Hideki Matsuyama, 2 wonderful people. Pic.twitter.com VLULO02K, Donald J. Trump at Real Donald Trump November 5, 2017 Blown fantasy pick of the week Smiley Kaufman. A winner here in 2015, he turned around a subpar year with a tie for 4th at the previous week's Sanderson Farms. Then he turned around and slumped to a 75 in round 1 on his way to a missed cut. Sigh. Antalya, Turkey. 2 weeks ago, Justin Rose would have rated his season a B-, a solid year, couple of top 10 finishes, lofty spot at East Lake for the PGA Tour finale, but not complete. No win, he shrugged. That all changed, first last week at the WGC HSBC Champions when he rallied to beat world number 1 Dustin Johnson, then on Sunday where he birdied 3 of his last 4 holes to win the Turkish Airlines Open. Now I'm probably at an ominous with 1 putt at Augusta away from being an A+, he smiled. That 1 putt, of course, was his birdie attempt on the 72nd hole to beat Sergio Garcia that wandered wide and set up a playoff the Spaniard would win. That's how thin the margins can be between a good year and a great one. By contrast, the 37-year-old's career defies that kind of instant analysis. Rose's victory in Turkey, which was sealed with a 10-footer for birdie at the last hole, was the first time he'd won back-to-back starts since 2014, when he followed his victory at the Quicken Loans National with a triumph at the Scottish Open. It was also his 18th worldwide victory, and prompted the kind of question that normally requires more retrospective than most professionals are willing to allow at this stage of their careers. It was a historical query cutting to Rose's place in the game, and prompted a telling response after a noticeably pregnant pause. Someone said to me, if you could do it all over again, if you could wipe the slate clean right now and do it all over again, would you? Rose aloud. It's a good question. Turkish Airlines Open articles, photos and videos, full field scores from the Turkish Airlines Open. It was an even better answer. Late Saturday, following a 3rd-round 64 at Regnum Golf Spa Resort, Rose was asked about Bradley Neal, a Scottish professional who just salvaged his season with a solid finish on the European Challenge Tour to regain his playing privileges. Rose has become something of a mentor to Neal, who missed 11 of his first 16 cuts after turning pro in 2016. Making cuts to start a career is easy, smiled Rose, who famously began his pro career by missing the cut in his first 21 tournament starts. From that humbling start has emerged one of the game's most consistent players. In the last 10 years on the PGA Tour, Rose has failed to play the weekend just 40 times. He's won a major 2013 U.S. Open and a gold medal 2016 Olympics and has played on 3 winning European Ryder Cup teams. He's transformed himself, with an assist from swing coach Sean Foley, into one of the game's most consistent ball strikers and has been a perennial top 10 player in the world golf rankings. In many respects, Rose is a self-made man. Sure, his Hello World moment at the 1998 Open Championship at Royal Birkdale, where he tied for 4th place as a 17-year-old amateur, suggested almost limitless potential, but make no mistake, he's come by his success honestly. Hard work and the unrelenting sensibilities of a perfectionist have hoisted Rose into a uniquely exclusive class. But would he do it all over again if offered the ultimate mulligan? I'm not sure I would, he said. It's been 20 years of hard graft, hard work, and I've achieved a lot. I've achieved a major championship. I've won Olympic gold. I've won a lot of other tournaments. I've had some great moments. To kind of try to do all of that again from a fresh, clean slate, that would be a daunting task. Some would say the road ahead appears equally as daunting. In the short term, Rose is within 4 rounds of winning the European Tour's race to Dubai following his back-to-back victories, and another major championship is always the goal, particularly a Masters jacket following April's near-miss. But there is an even loftier finish line for Rose, the ultimate benchmark when grading careers that transcend money lists and the kind of week-in and week-out hyperbole that can often blur the bigger picture. I've always said I'd like to be a Hall of Fame player, and I guess who makes that determination? I don't know, but that's kind of what I'm working towards, Rose said. So is that 2 major championships and 20 wins? I don't know what it is. Olympic gold will probably be kind of a nice bargaining chip when it comes to that. Under the current World Golf Hall of Fame selection process, those kinds of questions go largely unanswered. Consider that Davis Love III, who was inducted into the Hall last month, passed the esoteric test with 21 tour victories and a major PGA championship, while Fred Couples was given his Hall pass with 15 titles and the 92 Masters on his resume. Whether or not Rose has checked all the required boxes to join that club at this point is a hypothetical waste of time. At least it is to Rose, who knows he still has work to do to assure himself a Hall of Fame locker. But then hard work is what he does best. There's a lot more I believe I can achieve, he said. My mind is about just trying to get in the conversation, I suppose, and keep winning. Article tags Justin Rose by adding Texas A&M senior Cameron Champ has decided to turn pro. He will make his pro debut this week at the PGA Tour's Old Classic at Mayakoba, where he received a sponsor exemption. Champ, who starred at this year's U.S. Open at Erin Hills, where he powered his way into a tie for 4th through 36 holes, advanced last week to the finals of the Web.com Tour Q School. Guaranteed to have at least some status next year on the developmental circuit, and with the prospect of the maximum 7 sponsor exemptions on the PGA Tour, Champ decided to leave school at the halfway point of the season. Everyone here at Texas A&M is excited for Cam, Aggies coach J.T. Higgins said Monday. His goal has always been to play on the PGA Tour, and this puts him one step closer. We wish him the best of luck in pursuit of his dream. Champ made only one start for A&M this fall, finishing 12th individually, but the team won all 3 of its events in which Champ did not play. The Aggies are currently ranked 4th in the country. Champ told Golf Digest that he'd consider turning pro until his tie for 32nd at the U.S. Open, where he led the field in driving distance 337.3 yards. For more on Champ, check out this profile from Erin Hills. Patrick Cantlay earned his first PGA Tour victory in a playoff at the Shriners Hospitals for Children Open. Here's a look at what was in his winning bag. Driver Titleist 917D to 9.5 degrees, with Mitsubishi Rayon Diamante S Plus 73X shaft. Fairway Wood Titleist 917F 15 degrees, with Mitsubishi Rayon Diamante S Plus 70X shaft. Hybrid Titleist 816H 21 degrees, with Fujikura Speeder Evolution HB 95X shaft. Irons Titleist 714 AP 24 petawatts, with True Temper Dynamic Gold Tour Issue X 100 shafts. Wedges Titleist Vokey Design SM 554, 56, 60 degrees, with True Temper Dynamic Gold Tour Issue S 400 shafts. Putter Scotty Cameron GSS Prototype Ball Titleist Pro V1s. Article tags What's in the bag, Patrick Cantlay.